Okay, everyone, my mom is gonna make a paper daisy. Have fun.
Hey guys, so that was Amelia. My daughter just wanted to say hi, and as she said, I'm gonna teach you how to make a paper daisy today. We're gonna do the half daisy and then half florets little daisies. So let's get started. It is a little bit windy today, so hopefully the noise is not interfering too much. But yeah, I'm in Maryland, East Coast, United States, and right now it's 3 p.m. And it's a windy day, so yeah. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I see a lot of you waving, hi. And yeah, grab a cup of coffee or something like to eat, a snack, and get cozy as we are getting started. I have pre-cut, as always, my template, all the components with my Cricut machine. I have a Cricut Maker and an Explorer 3, and I used both today. I cut my center as well as the petals and the base. And I'm using 65-pound cardstock. Hi, Nancy. As always, if you know, I typically use 65-pound cardstock. I want to say 95% of the time. And obviously 2 colors, white and yellow. For the petals, I'm going to start by slightly curling them using a wooden dowel. A marker could work, a skewer, a bone folder. Now these petals are already pretty thin, so we don't want to necessarily curve them too much, but I do want to give the sides just a little bit of dimension. So now, like I said, because they are thin, you don't want to go like this, because that's just gonna curl them in a shape that we don't want for this flower, but you want to kind of go like this. So horizontally, not necessarily vertically, not horizontal curls. So let's try another one. So you have your petal, you go right and then left. I like to flip the petal upside down to do the left curve, but yeah, it's just a slight curve. And 1 second, what's up here? Alright, so I'm gonna use roughly 20 petals for this flower, and like I said, this is the half flower, so using the same template you could definitely make a full flower. So in that case you would use 40 petals, but also I like to experiment, and with the same petal, I like to create different flowers, different styles. So I can see myself using more than 20 or more than 40 if I'm making a full flower. However, for today's design, we're going to stick with about 20 petals. What you're seeing right now, these 2 half circle looking shapes, this is the base. So we're not going to do much with that later, but that's where I'm going to lay. We're not going to do much with that now. Later is where I will attach all the petals. Oh, and also I realized that I left my air on, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off because I think that should help a little bit with the noise levels. So I'll be right back.
No, I did it.
Here, let me see it.
No, I did some.
Okay, so that should be a little bit more quiet. So I'm gonna continue layering, or not layering, curling a few more petals. And one way to save time is by layering 2, sometimes 3, but for these petals which are pretty thin, I would stick with 2, and then do that same movement, and you save time because you curl 2 petals at the same time. And I've already lost track how many petals I have curled already. Maybe like about 15, so I don't have much more. The most, I would say, work, or the like most time-consuming part of this flower is the center. You know, kind of just like with the sunflower. The center has a lot of texture. Therefore, you know, to achieve this texture, you need a lot of these strips. And of course, the center is like large. I wouldn't say is as big as the sunflower, but it is big and dense. So that's why you end up using a lot of paper. Most of the paper, I would say, for the center. Now, let me see though. I ended up using 2 sheets for the center, and then maybe 2.5 sheets for the center, and then 2 sheets for the petals, flowers, the florets, and the base. So I guess the paper is kind of even, but then it also will depend on your personal preference if you want to make the center larger or not. But for the center, I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys my formula, although, you know, if you've been with me, I don't love to have like formulas for flowers, because I feel like each flower sort of shapes itself as you're making it. And so, you know, no one, like, each flower is unique, right? So the number of petals may slightly vary. The size of the flower itself will vary because it's handmade. But anyway, just like to get a general idea. For the center, I used like 15 to 17 strips of these strips. So just so that you know, but again, as you are making the flower, you will get an idea of, you know, if you need to add more or if you need to stop. However, we're gonna get started by, this is a reverse tweezers. You could use a quilling tool as well. And as you saw, like before I start rolling it, I'm curling the strip. You could use your fingers too. I'm using the wooden dowel. What that does is it sort of preconditions the paper so that it's easier to roll, and you avoid any like weird folds or kinks. So with my reverse tweezers or quilling tool, you can also just use your finger as well. It is possible. I'm gonna just turn, basically roll as tightly as possible. You don't want to have any like gaps. You don't want the strips to roll and be loose, you know what I mean? Because then that will create weird shapes and shades that you may not want. And then after I've rolled it a couple of times, again tightly, and you can see, you'll see I'm holding it, like I'm holding the paper down with my finger, so as not to like if I let go, then the strip will not be tight, right? So we want to avoid that. So again, I'm gonna keep it tight. And that's what creates that dense center that we were talking about. So I added some glue, craft glue. I use a Barely Arts glue. I have a link for it in my bio to get, I believe, 10% off. And I just roll, keep rolling, and then, you know, add a little bit more glue. Again, I'm holding everything down so that everything stays nice and tight. Now, at one point, you have to let go of your quilling tool, or oh, hold on, that's not tight at all. Hold on. So at some point you do have to let go of your quilling tool or the reverse tweezers, but I actually think that's a little bit early for me. So let's go back up and re-roll. Oh wow, I think I'm hearing some hail. Okay, so you let go of your quilling tool and then you just continue to roll just with your fingers. And the way, yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's kind of crazy right now. But so I like to hold the strip to keep it from unrolling by using, you know, my index and my thumb, and then I just roll. As I'm rolling, of course, I'm also adding glue here and there. You don't need to add glue with every single roll, but definitely want to add glue when the strip is done. And since I'm using this craft glue, it does take a little bit to dry. If you were using hot glue, which you can as well, then obviously you wouldn't need to hold it down. With hot glue though, I do have to say, with this center, I don't prefer it as much, because unless you have a glue gun that has that fine tip that allows for a little bit of glue to come out, like your regular hot glue gun basically releases a lot of glue every time you press it, so it ends up being stringy everywhere, a little bit messy. It's totally doable, but it's not my favorite glue to use with this center. If I were working with a center like this, then yeah, definitely hot glue. But this is a little bit more dainty, and so those dainty flowers typically work best with craft glue. Here it is. So this is what one strip looks like. Of course, you're going to continue with the same thing, the same technique, like about 17 to 20 more times, right? But to save time, of course, I was rolling this center earlier, and so this is what it looks like with 17 strips. So I was doing this, I want to say this took like maybe 20 minutes, but honestly, like, I did it with breaks, while I was playing with my daughter, while I was, I don't know, cutting some stuff, so I don't know. But yeah, this is it. Now I may add a few more strips in the end once I put the center onto the flower itself. I don't know, again, because I don't like to work with like formulas, but for now I'm gonna make some space so that we can make the actual flower. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna start with the base, these two half circle looking things. We're gonna overlap them, glue them one on top of each other. You see one of the half circles is smaller, so that creates, hold on, that creates like a lip here, like it's like a guide to guide you so that you can make a perfect half circle, right? It also makes the base a bit more sturdy, which is always nice. So again, you can do this with hot glue as well. I'm just using the Barely Arts craft glue. And gracias, Monita. Now I am ready to add my petals. Now the petals is very easy. We don't have to do a lot. We already curled them. If you just joined, I used a wooden dowel to curl these petals, and I'm going to use about 20 of them. I don't need to make any cuts or anything else. I'm just gonna add some glue. I want the one thing is that I want the curls to go down, to face down, so not like this, but like this, right? They curve down, so which means I'm gonna put the glue here and then place it right on the base, like so. Now, one thing that I've been experimenting, I guess you could say, with is more of a realistic style flower, as opposed to like more of an artsy abstract shape. And so one thing that you will notice about daisies is that the petals are not evenly distributed. Typically I make my flower so that, you know, each petal is pretty much evenly spaced, but lately again I've been playing around with this realistic style. So as you can see, I am just randomly choosing to space the petals in an uneven way. So if you were wondering why, that is the idea behind it. Hi Lassie C. Oh my gosh, a lot of new names and new faces. So the petals can be slightly touching, or not touch at all. It can be, you know, basically randomly spaced. And I'm going to do 2 layers. So this will be the bottom layer. Do this one like that a little bit. But yeah, that's why in the beginning I said that the number of petals varies, because with the same petal shape, with the same template, you can create different looks. And what I love about these petals too is they have a little bit of a, I don't know if you guys can see it, but they have a little bit of a thing going on here, which adds to the realistic look, I think. I think we have room for one more. And then this layer will be complete. This is our bottom layer. And there we go. Now I could also just leave it at like this. You know, I know some types of daisies have very few petals, also depending on like which life stage the flower is on, you know what I mean? Like towards the end of its lifespan, tends to lose the petals, the center tends to get bigger. So again, so many variations that you can create. But I'm gonna add one more. Yeah, I'm gonna add one more layer. Could also be like just a few flowers, or sorry, a few petals. It doesn't have to be a whole layer of petals, but we'll see. This one I'll put here. This one I'm putting like literally almost on top of the other one. Again, I'm not following a pattern. I'm just basically irregularly placing them. Okay. Also, another element that you could add to make this flower more realistic looking would be to add some texture to the petals. Oops, I put this in the wrong side. You could add some texture to the petals, either with a scoring pen, a scoring stylus, or you could add some details with, I don't know, like a marker, like you could add some blue lines. You could add, let's do one here. You could add details with blue marker. Did I say that already? Blue marker, watercolor, pens, like colored pens, because some daisies do have a bit of a either sometimes pink, some pink shades towards the bottom of the petal or the base of the petal, basically where it meets the center, or sometimes they'll have like a tinge of like a blue, very very light blue or turquoise. And so adding those details, even though it may not seem like it's much, it really does make a big difference, in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna add, how many more? Just gave me a Rovena. I think I'm gonna add, no, not one more, a few more. So yeah, I asked you guys yesterday what time you preferred for me to go live on Fridays. I'm trying to go live in a different schedule from what I'm used to, which for me the best is at night, in the evening, like 10 p.m. But I realize that I miss a lot of you, whether you are in Europe or Midwest, I guess. So I try to do something different because I don't always get the chance to post my lives as a replay. I think I'm pretty good at it, but it doesn't always happen, to be honest. Okay, there you go. I think I'm happy now with the look. I'm not gonna lie, like all white looks beautiful too, without any details. What do you guys think? But yeah, now you could I was gonna say you could add the details after you have assembled the flower. So like if I were to add any details, I would go in right now and paint, or you could add the details once you have cut the petals. So before you assemble, before you curl, you just go in and you do the scoring stylus. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you the scoring stylus, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about. It's literally like a pen, and you just make markings. Okay, so now that our flower is done, we're going to, I could add the center, but I want to like keep the center for like the end to like wow you guys, I guess. I don't know, I'm not sure why. So then you arrange your florets, right? Typically I like to put them in obviously like a half circle shape, because right, it's filling out the other half of the flower that's missing. But I've seen people do all kinds of arrangements here where this like just goes out, and so yeah, you can let your creativity flow. But when I do the half circle, I first just put in the pieces, right? Whether it's butterflies or hearts or whatever, just put in the pieces without gluing them down and just play around with positioning or repositioning them. I don't want to commit yet. Then once I'm happy with that, then I go in and actually glue the flowers or butterflies or dragonflies, whatever it is that I'm working on. Hi Irina, how are ya? Oops. So this design would be beautiful for like a bridal shower, wedding gift. I mean, obviously, like just like a spring decor, this would be beautiful because, hello, daisies. If someone is named Daisy, I actually have a friend whose name is Daisy, and she loves daisies, so you can personalize it. Like, let's say if you were to put this on a canvas or a shadow box, obviously you would personalize it as well. So yeah, we're ready. I think I want to add a few more strips to my center, and this will give the chance to anybody who's just joined to see how I did the center. And so basically these strips is what I used. I just add some glue. Let's see. And then just attach it. And again, I'm working with craft glue right now, so it takes a little bit to dry. So you hold in, if you're working with a new strip, you hold it in for a few seconds, because remember, as you're rolling it, you want to keep everything tight. You don't want any spaces in between the strips, because then it won't look as good. So that is what I'm doing. How did you come up with that design? It's your signature. Oh, thanks, Irina. Well, I actually did not come up with well, okay, so I saw a vinyl tote that had half sunflower and half butterflies a while back, and I had saved that photo. Then in one of my crafting groups, I saw these like Starbucks tumblers, I guess, where they were like being personalized. It was like a half sunflower, half butterflies with the Starbucks logo in the middle, you know, the green. And yeah, and it sort of like came back to me, right? Because I had already seen the tote, and I'm like, ooh, I should make this like design with paper. And believe it or not, after I made it, I did not like it. I made the yellow sunflower with the black center and yellow butterflies, and I was like, is this silly? Should I even post this? And I held on to it for a bit, and then when I did post it, everybody just loved it, and then it sort of grew on me too. I created more variations. So yeah, this, for example, the daisy with the florets, it's my original design, but obviously inspired by the sunflower. Now, who created the sunflower is the question. And before I like posted my paper version, I did go online and like I tried to look like who created the half sunflower, half butterfly design. And I could not find like an author. Like all I could find was a couple of Etsy shops that sell digital templates for like vinyl and that type of stuff. I guess mugs or t-shirts and totes, I guess. And but it wasn't just one. Like there were at least like 3, 4 or more, because I didn't go too deep, shops that were using this design. And so I never like was able to find basically who the author is, but that was my inspiration. That was a long story. I know the feeling when something grows on you. Yeah, I know. It's I feel like it happens a lot with, you know, in the creative process, because you're looking at something for so long, right? And then you just, of course, your eyes start to like lie to you. You find flaws or things, but I find that when I'm getting, and it is only recently that I've started to do this, but when I'm getting like that, I, you know, before I make any final decisions, I like walk away from it, do something else, and then come back to it. Maybe the next morning, maybe a couple of hours later. But like I let myself forget about it. And then I go back, and usually when I look at it with like new eyes, even in most cases, I have loved what I created. Like basically my previous opinion was not right. But even in those few instances where, okay, I didn't love what I created, it was more like a more like rational and like objective decision, you know what I mean? It wasn't like as like emotional or as like, oh, this is worthless. Like I could like logically see, okay, I don't love this, I can improve this, you know what I mean? So it's always a good idea, if you can, you know, if you're able to do that, to walk away and then go back. I have 2 Albanians, at least, that I know of in this live. That's awesome. I make a cake late at night. I hate it when I see it in the morning. I like it. Okay, good. See? So I'm not the only one. Yeah, especially like after you've been like working on something for so long, for hours and hours, and you're just like tired, and yeah, give yourself some time. It's one of my, I don't know, a game-changing thing that I learned, you know. I used to be very, very critical of pretty much everything that I created, and that changed. That little mindset change helped a lot. So at this point I could keep going, but keep in mind that I am going to open this up. So when I open it up, it's going to become, the center is going to become a little bit bigger. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop here, and then I can always add more, but I think I want to stop here because the sunflower centers tend to be a little bit bigger typically, but the daisy center is not as big, and I think I am at 20, maybe 21 strips. I don't know. I'll have to count because I can count them, and then I'll let you guys know. Typically, when my templates, I include like a PDF that has the information on how many petals you need, how many strips for the center, and so on and so forth. So what I'm doing now, oh, and by the way, make sure that this dries, this last piece, before you start doing that, if you're using craft glue. But basically, I'm just like pushing down with my thumb. I start by doing just the outside first, and this is very, very ASMR. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but of course it's also raining outside and it's windy, so I don't know how much that is interfering, but I love doing this. Very soothing. What is this? Thanks, Irina. So can you guys hear this? So good. So as I am, you know, pushing down, I go in a little bit more, as you notice, because now it's easier to bend these guys now that I've bent these outer guys. If that makes sense. So take your time with this. Because at first, I know when I first did this, I felt like I wasn't, like nothing was happening, but it does open up, and it makes a difference. Another cool thing that you can do with the center is, and this type of center, is that you can give it even more dimension by, it's actually one of my favorite things, by pushing down. Right now, like, pretty much it's flat, right? Well, let's put it flat. Now, push gently, very gently down here with your thumbs, and notice how it like pops up. See? Pops up. And I think that's beautiful, of course. And depending on the flower that you're working on or what shape you're trying to achieve, this may be something that you want to try. Or let's say you're working on a shadow box and you have to keep the center flat, that's fine too. I think that also looks pretty. Okay, so I do love it, but I do think that the center could be a little bit bigger now that I'm putting it down, but it's cute, it's cute. But yeah, I love doing this because I think it creates, or even pushing it down, you can also push it down and then it creates a nice little dimension here, like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna continue to add some more strips, just a few more. So I'm gonna close this down, and that's fine. Actually, this is good to show how flexible paper is. Of course, it's not the exact same, but this allows me to add more strips more easily. So now another thing that you could do, if you, for example, like the center and you want to keep it this size, is that you could add some more petals. Make the petals more fluffy, the center smaller. But I want to keep this look. Like, I like the petals the way they look, So what I want to play around with is the center, making the center a little bit bigger. So, and again, circling back to what I said in the beginning, this is why I'm always like a little bit like reticent in giving like a formula, like how many petals did you use? Like in this case I used this many, but you know, the next creation I may use less or more. Like it all depends on the flower. How many petals does my flower need? You know, they sort of speak to you. Oh god, you guys are gonna think I'm nuts. But yeah, your flowers speak to you as you're making them. At least that's how I see it. So you want to cover the edge of the petals with the center. Yeah, yes. Basically, exactly, Irina. I don't like seeing, even though it's pretty seamless because the center, or rather the base is white, the petals are white, I don't like, it doesn't look as natural, you know? If you're looking at a daisy, you don't really get to see the edge of the petals. It sort of overlaps a little bit with the center. So that is why I was saying you could add more petals and bring them in a little bit closer if you didn't want to add more to the center. And also doing this helps because it preps the center strips for what you're about to do. I see a question. Did I miss it? I saw something in Spanish. Tijeras. Cortas el papel con las tijeras. No. Son para detalles pequeños que necesito arreglar. So the question is, do you use the scissors, I'm assuming these ones, to cut? I mean, you could. Es posible usar las tijeras. You could use scissors, like you could hand cut the petals, the base, the flowers. This would be a bit tedious to cut by hand. Para el centro sería difícil cortar con las tijeras, pero es posible cortar los pétalos, las florecitas, y eso. Yo uso una máquina cortadora, Cricut. So if you don't know, if you're just joining, as I mentioned in the beginning, use a Cricut machine, a cutting machine, to cut all of my templates. Even things that like I could easily hand cut, I just put it on the machine because that allows me to like multitask, right? So like while something is cutting, I am, you know, designing or assembling or weeding, taking off the mat, you know what I mean? So ever since I started making paper flowers, I pretty much have been a cutting machine user. Okay, so yeah, I still have, I think I want to add maybe 3 or 4 more, and then I'm gonna open it up. And my cats have been, if you hear me blowing randomly, it's because my cats, ever since I got some lights, really nice lighting system actually, courtesy of my husband. So because the lights are warm, my cats, I have 2 cats, 2 black cats, they love to jump here on my desk and chill. I'm actually shocked that they have not jumped while I've been in this live. And because they are black cats, on this like white table, and especially today with my white flower, their hair, like I can see it everywhere. So that's why, if you have cats, and you are a paper crafter, a paper florist, you probably know the struggle. And maybe even dogs, I don't know. Do dogs, I've never had a dog. Do dogs jump on desks and stuff? I guess it depends on the type of dog. I can't see a golden retriever jumping, but I don't know if you have a small dog. I don't know. Tell me, crafty dog owners. Do your dogs jump on your desks or your like workspace, or is it just a cat thing? Because my cats have always liked to do that. Like even before I had the lights, but now that I have the light, it's like a lot more. But yeah, they love to jump next to my flowers and mess around with like the little pieces. Oh my gosh, it's so cute, but also like so bad. Yes, Lily's creation says mine and she is black. Yeah, it's a struggle. See, I can see one little hair there. If your cats are black and you have like white furniture or white desk, it's a bit of a pain, which I can imagine also if you have a white cat and you have a black desk or black furniture, especially if your cats have a lot of fur. Like one of my cats is all black and then short hair, and the other one is like a tuxedo cat, so she is furry. So yeah, I think I'm gonna add one last one. I could definitely keep going with the center because sometimes I forget how many like strips I add, especially if I have cut a bunch and I'm just taking strips and I'm doing something else like listening to a podcast or watching TV or something like that. I will lose track of time. Hey everybody. Oh, sí, Irina, yo hablo español, sí, yo enseñé español por varios años como enseñante, sí. En el colegio, universidad, pero ahora hago flores de papel. Y sí, tengo muchos seguidores, muchos amigos y amigas que hablan español en esta página. Me da mucho gusto. En realidad pienso abrir una página con tutoriales y contenido exclusivamente en español. Es uno de mis objetivos para ese año, pero el tiempo es muy limitado. Entonces no sé cuándo va a suceder, pero espero muy pronto. So yeah, I do speak Spanish, and as I was saying, basically in Spanish is that I have a lot of followers, which I'm so happy about, that speak Spanish, which is awesome, because I was a Spanish teacher. I've grown up on like telenovelas, not Spanish, but like Spanish speaking, so Mexican telenovelas, Argentinian. I mean, they were very, very popular in Albania in the 90s, so, and I guess early 2000s too. So that's where I learned first how to speak Spanish, and then when I went back to school, I took more, like I got my degree in Spanish, and I taught Spanish for 5 years, and until I retired and became a paper florist. So yes, I love it now. I still could definitely use a few more because I can still see the edges, but just for time purposes, because I don't want this live to go too long, I'm gonna stop here. And I do think it looks good with this size center. Again, like if you don't want to I guess hold on, because it's hard for me to see like vertically because I have you guys vertically. So let me pull this down a bit so I can see it, because I don't want to put my head in front of you. Okay, yeah, it's cute. You can see the edges very slightly, but they're like pretty much overlapping with the center. So yeah, I hope you guys like this design. I will, oh gosh. See, you would think that I would have checked if this design is on Etsy or not. Definitely not this exact petal shape, but I do think I have a half daisy design. Well, anyway, either way, I'm gonna be updating stuff and posting stuff, so this design will be available on Etsy, this exact shape petal. But I'm pretty sure I do have a half daisy design on there already. So but yeah, you can find the link to my shop in my bio, or just search Floral Flirt Studio. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, so you can definitely slap this on a canvas, a shadow box. I'm just leaving it here because I'm still gonna work on it. I'm probably gonna add some like color, so like some either watercolor or something to make it even more realistic. And yeah, oh, I'm also working on a simple rose, very simple rose flower pattern, so look out for that as well. I'm going to be working on my shop and uploading and updating templates, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking with me, for making these flowers. Thank you for engaging with comments in the chat, for asking thoughtful questions. I hope it's been like a month now that I've been making these weekly lives every Friday. I changed the times this last 2 Fridays so that I can, see new people. Hola desde Costa Rica. Sí, saludos de México. Hola. Oh my gosh, so cool. Me da mucho gusto hablar con ustedes. What is a yellow maze? Yellow maze, I have no idea. Alright guys, I'm gonna go now. Have a wonderful Friday and weekend, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.